Hi there. You travel and maybe you meet a uniformed officer there. You don't speak the language well, like me when I was in Moscow. What could possibly go wrong? Working on Russia's first credit card system took 16-hour days and a lot of nights. But, and there's always a but, sometimes we wanted to see more than just a view from our hotel window. One of Stalin's 7 sisters stood right across the Moscow River from us. Each is impressive, like Moscow University, Europe's tallest building for 50 years. One day, while walking across Red Square, we decided to ask a Russian army officer for directions to the Kremlin's treasures. We didn't think to remember that the army had spent 50 years as our enemy. He could have had his troops beat us to a bloody pulp if he were in a bad mood. When you least expect it, right? Weeks later, I decided to go swimming in the world's largest outdoor swimming pool. It was heated, the Akrit Basin, the Moscow pool. I walked there in a light snowfall, and all I found was a construction site. A foundation, piles, cranes. The Kremlin was just past it, up on the hill. The river was next to it. I knew I was in the right place. That's when my brain froze and I got stupid. All right, stupider. I went up to a police box, not Doctor Who's, to ask what the heck. Seeing the officer's AK-47, I suddenly realized I had neither passport nor wallet. Going swimming, right? Luckily, and maybe because God protects, the officer not only understood my lousy Russian, he spoke English. He slung his rifle over his shoulder and then started to tell me about the site's history. He said there'd been a convent there in 1812 when Napoleon invaded and took over the Kremlin. But, and here's another but, the Tsar had the city blown up and burned down to force Napoleon to retreat through the winter snows. Shocking how much of the city was destroyed. Many of the French, most of them, froze to death on that horrible march. They didn't have winter clothes. A survivor wrote that to fall asleep was a death sentence. It was horrible. 450,000 men left for Moscow. Only about 10,000 returned home. Can you imagine? Sadly, the Russians lost many more. There were many battles. The biggest of them was at Borodino. 250,000 fought. A third became casualties. Do the math. The Tsar ordered one of the largest and most beautiful cathedrals in the world built to remember the War of 1812. 70 years later, 1882, another wonderful creation, one of the world's most glorious pieces of music, would also remember that war. The 1812 Overture. It was first played outside the still uncompleted Cathedral of Christ the Savior. By the way, Tchaikovsky hated the piece that he'd written. He said it was very loud and noisy without any artistic merit. It was obviously written without any love or warmth. That's what he wrote. He did. 35 years later, a red wave engulfed Russia. Lenin and his communists took over. Atheism became official USSR policy. Stalin then followed, and he decided to erase the Kremlin's majestic next-door neighbor. Some things of value were reused in libraries, subway stations, wherever. Others went to the Donskoy Monastery for storage. The rest were just blown up. Stalin wanted the greatest of his buildings to stand on that site. The world's tallest building would have had a 300-foot tall statue of Lenin, a quarter of a mile in the sky. There would be a 21,000-seat arena for the Supreme Soviet of the Soviet Union. The small meeting room would hold 6,000. 6,000 in the small one. You get the idea. Big, monumental. Construction began in 1934. Though the ground wasn't solid enough for something that massive, brilliant Soviet engineers figured out ways to proceed. The hole got dug, the concrete poured, and the steel started to go up. Unfortunately for Stalin, his ally Adolf Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa against the USSR. Some 3 to 4 million Germans attacked. 3 or 4 million, plus planes, plus tanks, lots of them. The building's steel skeleton was cut down from Moscow's defense and never replaced. The abandoned foundation filled with water for almost 20 years until Nikita Khrushchev, one of the leaders at Stalingrad, took over. He had the world's largest outdoor swimming pool built there, heated, swim even in a blizzard. Cool, warm that is. But, and here's the last but, when communism fell, the pool's heating bills forced it to close. The officer smiled as he told me that something wonderful then happened. Over 1 million Muscovites donated to rebuild what they remembered as the People's Cathedral. Russia's new government helped too. The construction is what I saw. The project has since been completed and is almost an exact replica of the original. By the way, when the pool was opened, an urban legend was born. The pool was said to be cursed for having been built where the cathedral stood. That explained all the drownings, especially the ones in the winter when the water was covered by fog. Another, by the way, Boris Yeltsin, the Palace of Soviets architect, also designed the nearby House on the Embankment, 525 apartments for the Soviet elite, of whom something like a third were disappeared during Stalin's purges in the 1930s. Over a third. They won't reappear like the cathedral did, though, will they? So what's the lesson? It's that when you show officers respect, it's returned. And that's true of people too. Yeah, respect has to be earned, but consider that the uniformed have already done that in spades. Smile at someone, they smile back. Now, it's sad when officialdom demands that anyone has to act like a machine. They're not. Consider that. Alas, by the way, our next video is a tour of a New York City building that's been standing for over 100 years. Grand Central Terminal. And now a shout out to Joe and Jess and Marco and Gus. Thank you all for watching. I am Mike for the Be More Better team. Please comment, subscribe, all the rest, but always be more better. Body, mind, and spirit. And then be even more better when you share how important it is to respect all those who are uniformed and protect us. And to remember those who have given all. God bless them. Until the next time. Bye now. Thank you.